Are you saying that Australian sports fans are going to sporting events to watch sport? They're not going there to hear politics.
No, and look, you make an important point, which is like everything's political these days.
Yeah.
It's hard to escape politics. Sport is, or at least until recently, has been one of the last holdouts where you could actually go to sport to get away from politics, to get away from work, to get away from the day-to-day things that you're dealing with, and to focus on excellence on the sporting field. I mean, that's why people go to see players performing at their best, to celebrate their achievements, to get away, as I say, from politics, not to have it further inserted into our lives. So you're right, the idea that people would go to sport to watch sport, who would have thought?
Well, I mean, taking it even further back, in the old days, people used to go to the football so they could yell abuse at someone. You know, it was a sort of a release valve. But anyway, I want to quote from your report because you say it very well. And the quote is, throughout our history, sport has been one of the greatest unifying forces, inspiring millions to pursue excellence in all walks of life. We cannot afford our pastimes to become the plaything of activists, unquote. Well said, Daniel.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. It's becoming the plaything of activists. As I say, it's dividing us. But the other point I just make is, how do you think it makes their teammates feel? I mean, what if they don't agree? Say you got Pat Cummins speaking out on climate change. What if you're in the locker room and you're sitting there going, well, geez, I don't agree with what my captain's saying, and it's kind of putting me off a little bit. I reckon that would really undermine the camaraderie and the sort of the sport, the teamwork that you need to gel together, because you've got someone who's hogging the limelight, not because of their achievements on the sporting field, but because they're making these statements, and no doubt there's someone in Pat Cummins' ear telling him to do this. He's probably got PR people managing what he's saying. And so it really, not only does it divide us as a society and as fans, but it also divides the locker room, which means you get a worse quality performance on the sporting field.
And just getting back to state politics, because it's hard to avoid in Victoria, Dan Andrews' big announcement recently is to return the state to the bad old days of state-owned energy production, transmission and retail. Dan, what could possibly go wrong with that?
Well, exactly. It's back to the bad old days, as you say. And look, they've completely botched the energy market. You know, short-sighted politicians at the state and federal level, by getting rid of coal, net zero, red tape, we're pushing baseload reliable power off the grid. We've got too much wind and too much solar that doesn't go when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining. The amount of money you need to put in there to, you know, firm up these unreliable forms of energy generation is immense. And so the only solution they have now, after having completely wrecked the market, because no one's going to invest in coal in Victoria or around Australia, because governments have made it clear that they don't want you. Yeah. It's not that coal is not viable, it's very viable, but no one's going to put their money behind it when they know it's going to be shut down because of government policy. I mean, here in Victoria, they said no more coal from 2035. So therefore, no one's going to invest in coal. So the idea that this is the market failing is a complete misnomer. It's governments that have wrecked the market. Now they're saying, well, we need to take it over. This is not going to end well for the people of Victoria or for families and small businesses around the country.